Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Radical Democracy. I am Maddi. Cheers. Thank you for joining us for our show today on Radical Responsibility Part 3. So it's very, very, very nice to have you all. I'm just going to lower, I've had some back. Whoa. Hold one moment, please. Technical difficulties from my end, as usual. So, today we are talking about busting the healthcare myth with our special guest, the Reverend Joanne Angelberry Cullen, personal trainer and intuitive healer. Did I say your last name right?
No.
No, how do you say it?
No one ever does. Cologne.
Cologne. Oh, beautiful. Yes. So before we go to Joanne directly, what I would like to do is answer the question from a few of my friends and followers. What is the healthcare myth? So the healthcare myth that I'm talking about today is basically this one. A majority of Americans have come to believe that everyone is entitled to free healthcare, and when we all have access to health insurance, we will be healthier and we will live longer. That is a core belief of Americans now. This belief is a myth. I prefer to call it a myth rather than a flat-out lie, but it is most definitely a myth. So I thought I would start with a few interesting statistics. Number one is that conventional medicine, as we know it, is very good at several things. Very good at trauma, very good at surgery, very, very good at acute illness, emergency services, injury, infection, and vaccines. That is what we refer to as conventional medicine is extremely good at. If you break a leg, you don't want to go see a chiropractor, you want to go to a hospital because that is what conventional medicine is wonderful at. So those things. Now, there are also some universal healthcare statistics that people do not tell you. One of the things that's happening in our country, as we have all come to see, is that we are very divided. We are conflicted. And one of the ways that we are kept conflicted is over this idea of, should we have universal health care? Should we have private health care? It divides us up. It divides between whichever party, whatever position you're listening to, and it keeps us in conflict, which is very, very good for the people who want to get power, political power mostly. So let's talk about the real statistics because most of them do not get heard. So the real statistics, 9.4% of Medicaid people have trouble getting care and have long waits. So Medicaid is our government's version of universal health care along with the Veterans Administration, both of which, and especially the VA, have a terrible reputation for providing service. There's only a 4.2% that complain about long waits in private health care. So countries with universal health care have much longer wait times. Canada, 60 days to see a specialist. The U.S., the average is 24 days. In the United States, only 25% of people had to wait at least 4 weeks for a specialist, compared to Canada at 59%, Norway at 56%, and 43% for the UK, which all have smaller populations also. And in the case of Norway, a nearly homogeneous population. Another fact that nobody likes to tell you about. So we are, in a sense, comparing apples and oranges. So the idea that healthcare is free, also we've talked about this on the show before. No such thing as free healthcare. Someone is paying the doctors and health practitioners, and they are paying them for the services that the bureaucracy decides should be paid for, which are conventional. So some of the services are wonderful, like the ones I just stated, and some do not have a great track record, certainly not for curing profound illnesses like cancer. So the way that all of this is funded in our country is by income taxes and payroll taxes, and those of us who paid into Medicare, because in my case, I've been working for 50 years. We paid in FICA on your form when you paid your taxes this month. That's what that's for. So not free. So one of the problems is that mandated health care is dictated by the government. There is no alternative health care provided for and no reduction in costs for healthy taxpayers. And what does this lead to? Resentment and a feeling of being treated unfairly, which explains why we are at each other's throats currently. Universal health care forces healthy people to pay for others' medical care. Again, viewed as unfair. And if we go all the way back to when we've talked about many, many times the great law of peace, if you want peace, you have to decide. Do you want to be right or do you want to be fair? Because everybody thinks they're right. So that's what we're seeing now. Chronic diseases like diabetes and heart disease make up 85% of healthcare costs. Let me repeat that. 85% of our healthcare costs. Chronic diseases like diabetes and heart disease. And both of those are better treated through lifestyle changes. So if we want to reduce healthcare costs, we need to look at lifestyle changes. And the sickest 5% of the population consumes 50% of our healthcare costs. The healthiest 50% only consume 3%. Again, this is viewed as unfair, and this is where we are having this huge debate that is going on. But for all of us, whatever side you're on, whether you're on the totally universal single-payer healthcare side, whether you're somewhere in the middle, or you're on the only private healthcare side, we are not being told the truth about our own health care. And the truth is that we have to be responsible for it. We have to take charge of our health care because no matter which type of health care you get, you are not going to get the best care unless you are the healthiest you can possibly be. So unless you're going for those services I mentioned before, trauma, vaccine, surgery, acute illness, emergency, injury, infection, unless you're going for those things, you need to take charge of your own health. And taking responsibility for that is part of where your power lies. It also connects us as a community. It is your obligation. For indigenous people, they have something called sacred reciprocity. If you want, just call it reciprocity. Yes, they had their medicine people, their curanderas. They had all kinds of healers working within the community, but they did not work for free because there was an exchange. The people that grew the food were in the community. The people that were building the houses were in the community. There was an exchange. Nobody was getting services for free. Just like in our country, even if you are not working, you are not getting that service for free. Someone else has agreed to pay your doctor bills for whatever reason, whether it's government mandated or out of the kindness of their heart, whatever it is. If you are not working and you are not contributing to the tax base, you are getting health care, you are still not getting free health care. So, to that end, let me introduce to you Joanne, again, the Reverend Joanne, I'm going to call her for short, who is on her, I loved in her biography that in her number one position on her gift she's been blessed with list is her beautiful daughter, because family counts and family very much counts in health. And she also owns Fitness R Us. She is a personal trainer, a nutrition coach, natural bodybuilder, yay you, and Reiki master with more than 28 years in the wellness industry. She works with crystals, she does cards. She is also the author of The Power to Release Weight. I love that, as I've told you a million times before. I love that concept of releasing weight and the power to release weight.
Thank you.
She is the co-author of 365 Moments of Grace and so much more, including her own TV show right here on Strong Island TV. It just got finished airing, Joanne's Healing Within. So Joanne, you know I invited you here because you have so much great advice on what people can do now, even things people can do that won't cost them a lot of money to do.
Yes. So where do we get started? Well, to start off with, in regards to what Maddi just said, is the key to bypassing healthcare is to really get healthy. And what does that look like? What does that sound like? What does that feel like? Well, to get healthy means taking your health care into your own hands and developing a practice of eating healthy. Eating, not dieting, but eating healthy. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to join any type of weight program, such as a Weight Watchers plan or a Slim Fast program. Just eating healthy, getting in the habit of learning what your foods are made out of, learning how to read labels. Number one key is if a food has a label to it, chances are it's not natural. So, for example, when you think about an apple, there is no label to an apple. An apple is an apple. The same way when you think about broccoli and cauliflower and zucchini and squash and rice, those items do not really have a label because they're natural. When you think about cheeseburgers and, oh my God, Wendy's, I'm trying to think of all the foods my husband eats. Not that he's not healthy, but the foods that come with a label are usually an indication that it's not healthy for you. When you literally have to sit there and evaluate how many carbohydrates, how much fat, how many proteins you're consuming in your day, it's an indication you're not eating healthy. Because the best way of going about eating healthy is really staying very close to foods that are earth-based foods. Foods that you would find that if you were stuck in the wild, you'd have to literally pull from a tree or from the ground. So that's eating healthy. And remembering to take in your water. Water is so important. Many of us spend a lot of money going into these different coffee shops. I'm not going to name any, but just coffee shops, and spend a lot of money on buying coffee or lattes or different types of juices. Unfortunately, those things are really not healthy for you. And they're really not going to serve you in any way in reference to your mind, body, and spirit. Now, on the other hand, water. Water is going to serve you because our body is made up of about 70 to 80% of water. So having water throughout your day, and I don't mean drinking 32 ounces of water first thing in the morning. I mean drinking water throughout the day, sipping on water, 8 ounces every hour throughout the hour that you're awake. So if you're awake 8 to 16 hours a day, you should be having 8 ounces of water every hour to keep your body hydrated. As we keep our bodies hydrated, that helps us to eliminate what we call joint issues because our joints need hydration. Our joints are like our car. If you don't put oil in your car is eventually not going to work. The same way with your body. If you do not put water in your body, eventually you're going to end up with some form of joint degeneration, whether it be
go ahead,
whether it be arthritis or just joint discomfort overall. So really taking your nutrition into your own hand and becoming very diligent about what it is you eat. And then we move into movement. And I'm going to use the word movement because I know a lot of people have a lot of resistance to the word exercise for whatever the reasons are. But let's think about movement and how do you move your body in your day. And we need to move our body throughout our day. So when we wake in the morning until we go back to bed, we need to be keeping our bodies constantly in movement. And I'm a firm believer to engage in extra resistance with movement. So you're using weights to help maintain muscle tissue and also keep your metabolism moving to keep you healthy. And as we engage in weight training, whether you want to call it resistance training, strength training, circuit training, boot camp, whatever the heck else out there, whatever trends are out there right now, because there's so many, the idea is you want to engage in a program that's going to engage into a little extra weight, so you're going to challenge your muscles so you can maintain and build up more muscle tissue, because as you have more muscle tissue, you're also going to improve your bone density, which is another thing that when your bones become weakened, you're enduring on diseases in your body. Osteoporosis is a common thing when you start to decrease bone density, and unfortunately that results to using medication. And these are ways that you can avoid or minimize or even eliminate medication overall just by tuning into these simple practices. Then we'll move into, Manny, you have a question? Because I can go
No,
on and go on
I
and
know
go
you
on.
can. No, thank you, Celia, for listening. So, what I just wanted to point out when you brought up arthritis and joint problems, that in my research that I've been doing all week on this and way beyond that, because back in the old days when I was a dancer and a fitness coach and instructor and all of that, I had many certifications like you do.
Yes.
I just haven't kept them up. So that's one of the reasons why I know that, and especially recently, recent research is telling us that we don't know the causes of RA, of rheumatoid arthritis. We don't know the causes of our MS. We don't know the causes of ALS. We don't know, or we're not admitting to, the causes of cancer. There are many major diseases that many people suffer from that we cannot put a cause to. But what we do know is that the way we are treating it is what some people refer to in alternative medicine as sick care. So we are treating with pills which have side effects, and all of the research, take cancer for example, of all the money spent on cancer research, only 1.5% is spent on researching the causes of cancer. There are outside researchers, and when I say outside, I mean they are not funded by big pharma or by people like Monsanto who have a vested interest in seeing the results come out the way they'd like them to come out. But there are many, many countries that have said, we need to stop the pesticides. We need to literally stop the herbicides and the pesticides. No ifs, ands, or buts. But this is fought all over the world, and it makes us one of the problems. I just read a huge article from the end of last year on the World Health Organization. World Health Organization is funded by who? Wealthy philanthropists. And where do wealthy philanthropists get their money from? From companies they are invested in. So there is a great lack of trust between the public, or there should be, if you know what's really going on, a lack of trust between what we're being told is healthcare and what even research tells us is healthcare. Like we said earlier, with type 2 diabetes and heart disease, if you know you have that in your family and you change your eating habits, like what you just said, if you know you have RA and you change the amount of foods and waters you're drinking, if you make these lifestyle changes, if you get more exercise young enough, you are greatly increasing your chances of completely eliminating these two diseases, the most expensive diseases we have that can be controlled by lifestyle. And we're not being told this. This is not, and let's just add, this will not be paid for by your health insurance company, and it's certainly not by government health insurance. It might be paid for if you're fortunate enough to carry some kind of gold care where it pays for you to go to the gym, or it pays for you to seek massage if it's connected to chiropractic or something like that. But the vast majority of us do not have health care plans and will not be able to afford health care plans with or without the government that will pay for these alternative programs. And nobody is going to pay for you to buy food. Though I will tell you this, the Navajo Nation recently, I think about 2 years ago, won a lawsuit so that since they are under Indian Health Care Services, which is also a government-run bureaucracy, I'm not even going to get into the thousands of nightmare stories about that. We are going to answer this call, if I can figure out how to answer it. Hold on. Let's see. Hello?
Hello?
Oh, lower the radio.
Hold on.
Seal, lower
There,
the radio.
Okay, lower. I did.
So I'm just going to finish that one statement. So
Go ahead.
the Navajo Nation actually did successfully sue to get healthy food as one of their healthcare services that the government now has to provide. That doctors in the Navajo Nation are going to write prescriptions for healthier food, which could be very good for the rest of us, but that's a long time coming for the rest of us, I do believe, because the government has a specific relationship with the Navajo Nation with any federally recognized tribe where they have guaranteed health care for life. So, and like I said earlier, that's one of the happy stories. There are a million more extremely unhappy stories based on the mismanagement by healthcare, by bureaucracy, which is what we are facing. So, Celia, go.
Oh, so hi, Maddi. Hi,
Hi,
Joanne.
Hello,
Very
how are you?
excited about the broadcast and all your wonderfulness, Joanne. Really amazing.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to say I'm actually currently reading a book called Naked, Body, Mind, and Spirit. And it is, well, actually, I'm listening to it on Audible because that's how I read all my books. It's a combination of, it's wonderful, and it's a combination of various professionals, influencers, everyone that's in the world of health and wellness. And on my ride home today, they brought up a very good point, and it was just one that I felt like I should bring up to you guys. And that was that in all this medical work that everybody does, all this research, they said, whoever it was that was speaking, I don't know who it was, said that we always concentrate on what makes us sick.
Yes.
And there are so many people out there like me and Maddi, and I'm assuming you, that don't get sick hardly at all. And no one concentrates on why people stay healthy. Like, what is it about those people that causes them not to get sick? And they were just making like there could be so much more progress if we focused on why people don't get sick instead of why people do get sick. I just wanted to bring that up because I thought that was so interesting.
That is a really good point. And let me just say for other callers, the call-in number, thank you for reminding me, Celia, is 516-945-9099. Do you want to address that attitude shift?
Yes, actually I do. In reference to
Okay, goodbye.
the question the question that you were asking is why is it important for people to focus in on being sick, and how can we focus in on being healthy?
Yes.
Okay. So how we can focus on being healthy and the steps to being healthy as opposed to focusing on being sick is, again, as I mentioned before, just taking in your own hands the step process. And they're really easy processes to do. It's just as easy as taking a pill. You know, you have to, from my perspective, whom I know take medication, they have this long pill box that I think has 7 little boxes to it, and they have to take X amount of pills through the course of their day, specific timing to when they have to take these pills, take it with food, take it not with food, or make sure you take it first thing in the morning and wait 3 hours before you can eat. Well, if you have to go through all that just to maintain your medication, I think it's a hell of a lot easier to focus in on being healthy and learning how to prepare your food and prepare your food for the entire day so you're not running out to have to buy your food. And unfortunately, I'm one of those people who run out to have to buy their food because I'm always on the go, and I really try to bring my food from home. But that's, you can manage one way or another. But the concept is to really make the time and the practice to develop an exercise regimen in your day, every day. And you don't have to exercise hours at a time. You can literally exercise 30 minutes. Now, if you don't have 30 full minutes in your day, you can cut that into increments of 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes during your lunch break, take a walk. That's a part of exercise. So after you've had your lunch, go take a walk for 10 minutes. And then at nighttime, after you had your dinner or before dinner, then you want to incorporate some other form of exercise. And if you're going to do it in 3 different types of increments, which is actually great. You could start your morning off with what I like to call a yoga meditation practice, where you get your body moving and stretching and aligning what I like to call chakras. So you're going to realign your energy and really align your energy in a more positive state of being, that you're focusing in on positive things and not being sick.
Right.
You're not going to spend your time thinking about, the diabetes or my heart or the medication or my joints or whatever. You're going to focus in on positive things, because what we put we put our thoughts on is what we continue to attract. So it's
Exactly.
really learning how to realign and reset your thought process. And during the second part of your day, you can indulge in a very light weight training program. And when I use the word light weight training program, I don't mean the weights are going to be light. I mean the intensity is going to be 10 minutes, and you're going to power it up. So grab a 10-pound dumbbell and do some squats or do some curls or do some push-ups. If you need some guidance on how to put together a really quick 10-minute workout, reach out to me. I'm here for you for
Right.
that purpose. I'm available to you face to face, or I also work with you through Zoom or Facebook messaging as well. So I can help you with that. And then at nighttime, again, you can develop another 10-minute practice of some more stretches and just realigning your energy. So get away from the TV, because I know for myself, I had watched TV the other night, and I was just telling Manny this, where I was watching TV, and within an hour of watching TV, which I actually didn't stay watching TV because I was annoyed and frustrated by the TV, I must have seen 10 commercials just on different types of illnesses, from cancer to joint pain
Yep.
to Alzheimer's and this thing and that thing. And I was like, oh my God, no wonder why we are so overwhelmed with illness, because we go to bed, before we go to bed, we're watching TV, or we're reading the news, and we're hearing about all these different ailments that are occurring. And remember, again, what I said before, what you are reading, what you are seeing, what you are hearing is what you're attracting. So if you're going to constantly hear somebody talk about illness and cancer and all this other stuff about medicine and medication and just not feeling well, then yeah, unfortunately, you're eventually going to start saying, well, when am I going to be next? Is that going to happen to me? So you really have to learn how to realign your thought process. And I'm a firm believer that you really have to stop watching TV, stop reading reading your newspapers, and as much as possible, other than when you're listening to Manny's radio show, you want to not listen to the radio, because all you're going to hear is about medication and all these crazy illnesses that are flaring up. I'm also a firm believer in reference to the illnesses that are coming up. I think Manny had mentioned this earlier about they don't even know where these illnesses come from, correct?
Right. And if they do, they are not telling us.
Exactly. Well, one of the things I was chatting with Manny about this week in regards to that, I truly believe that we invite, and I know this is going to be a major debate, and don't shoot me when I say this, but we invite these illnesses into us. And how we invite these illnesses in is because we talk about them. So if you know someone that's been diagnosed with cancer, you are going to talk about that person and talk with that person about their illness. And by talking about it, you're allowing that illness to grow and grow and grow. And it grows within you as well. Sometimes it's also about that we come into this lifetime being reincarnated to have these illnesses to help us step into a different level of where we're supposed to be in this lifetime. So those illnesses sometimes are there to help us step into our light, because most people would call their illness the darkness.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes perfect sense. It makes sense to me. There will be people out there that don't hold that belief system, and that's fine. But what I will tell you is that research does show us that our attitude is everything when it comes to healing, when it comes to illness. And it's important to remember that there is a difference between healing and curing.
Yes.
So it's also important to remember what conventional medicine says. I mean, guys, I really have to recommend, if you have not already seen it, and believe me, you're going to have to do a lot of positive emoting and positive thinking after this. But if you're not believing me on these stats that I'm giving you, if you feel like you need to go out and do instant research, watch the documentary Cancer Inc., watch Food Inc., watch the documentary Heal. I mean, if you don't want to go through all the reading, this will capsulize it for you. But there is tons of research out there on attitude. We know, you hear everybody today talking about an attitude of gratitude. We know that being in a state of gratitude not only raises the serotonin level in your body, lowers your blood
Blood
your
pressure?
blood pressure, thank you.
There you go.
And your heart rate. But
Yes.
even just hearing somebody or seeing somebody say thank you, go to the Heart Math Institute if you don't believe me, and you can read their research. So also, you can also look at, I just want to give you a couple of really interesting quotes here. One is from Kelly Brogan, MD, who is a psychiatrist who ended up with Hashimoto's, which is a disease that I'm not exactly familiar with. All I know from listening to her is that she would have to take drugs for it for the rest of her life. If anybody out there knows the exact description of this, I will say that what she decided was, I'm not going to take drugs for the rest of my life. That's ridiculous. And so she changed her diet. She added supplements. She exercised. And all of those are better for dealing with Hashimoto's, and depression have a much higher success rate than all the drugs we're currently addicted to. And what her quote is from Dr. Brogan, I never learned that nutrition had anything to do with health. So all through med school, she's MD doctor, psychiatrist, right? All through med school, nobody ever taught any doctor that nutrition has anything to do with health. Another PhD I want to point out, because this relates to what you're talking about, Joanne, with what we now call, you have to call yourself an intuitive healer.
Yes.
Even, indigenous healers who have thousands of years of research. We discount their research because it's anecdotal.
Yes.
Thousands of years. No. But it's not, and it didn't cost money. So this researcher, Kelly Turner, Dr. Kelly Turner, PhD, decided she was going to research radical remissions in cancer. She traveled to 250 different patients throughout the entire world with every form of cancer there is to find out why these people went into radical remission. She found out that there are 75 different types of things that they did. But all 250 have these 9 in common. Keep this in mind while you're thinking about what Joanne has already said. Okay, number 1, radically changing their diet. Number 2, taking control of your health. Number 3, following your intuition. Number 4, using herbs and supplements. Number 5, releasing suppressed emotions. Number 6, increasing positive emotions. Number 7, embracing social support, group, the community connection. Number 8, deepening your spiritual connection. And number 9, having a strong reason to live. Now, these people discovered these things throughout the world. These 9, interesting that while she found 75 different things people did, all of these 9, which is essentially what we are just talking about right now, are habits that these and changes these people that went into radical cancer remission made, right? And these 9 things could be a complete description of indigenous wisdom and healing, Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic. These 9 things are basically the 9 principles, and it's exactly what you are talking about. So this research, it has to be done outside of the medical community, because the conventional medical community is funded by who? Big pharma,
Yes.
hospital, the people that are profiting off of this. So we have to get smart. All of these, what she also discovered is that doing all of these things activates your immune system.
Yes.
Stress deactivates your immune system. Again, focusing on illness. Listening to the news has been shown to put you in a state of fright or flight. So if you are watching the TV news, since most of TV news is based on making you scared. If it bleeds, it leads, right?
Yes.
So this puts you into that ancient state of flight or fright, where you stay, if you're like some people, hours and hours, which means your adrenals are overworked, which affects your immune system. Your entire body
Yes,
is
definitely.
affected by
Yes.
this. So your advice, and I go along with this, I tell this to people all the time, especially turn off the news. And fortunately, again, this becomes a situation where a lot of us can not even if we watch wonderful television shows, we don't have to watch them with the commercials.
Yes,
we have those options now.
Yes.
We have that technology.
My suggestion in reference to commercials when they come on, that's a great time to exercise.
I love that idea.
That's a great time to do some lunges or squats or curls or dips or whatever exercise you could think about. An average commercial, I think, is what, 3 to 5 minutes?
Yep.
So, and there's how many commercials within an hour show?
There are usually a total of, I happen to know this because I've looked it up for another show, but there are an average of 22 minutes of commercials in a primetime show, any primetime TV show.
So, okay, so Manny just eliminated everyone's excuses in reference to why we're not exercising, because now you have 22 minutes in your day. If you are going to sit there and commit to a 1-hour TV show, you now have 22 minutes that you can exercise. You don't have to be at the gym. You don't have to have a series of exercise equipment. All you have to do is grab some dumbbells and learn how to incorporate the dumbbells into certain movements. And during those commercial breaks, do whatever exercises you want, and you could do 10 reps, 15 reps, 30 seconds, whatever it is. And again, I'm here. I can give you this information. I can show you how to put together a plan that can work with you during your TV show. So if you're going to run home at 7 o'clock at night because you need to be in front of that tube to watch your favorite show, you have 22 minutes of commercials. No more excuses, folks.
Yep.
No more excuses.
And Celia Kibler of Pumped Up Parenting, also my sister, also does the same thing. She does a similar type of thing with nutrition counseling, exercise counseling in her business also. And there are many, many, many wonderful, positive people. But what you really need, what I found very interesting in this research is two things, is increasing the positive emotions and embracing social support. This is where a lot of people fall down. This is why the gym is appealing sometimes, because you can create a social group.
Yes.
So do that. People that are, you probably know this, people that are very successful at creating free exercise programs like going for walks or swimming in the ocean often do it with friends.
Of course.
Yes. And having friends and having social support is extremely important. So you want to put yourself, and one of the things we've talked about this many times on the show because it's so tragic, is that for young people, because of the increase in technology, we are also seeing an increase in suicide and depression and drug addiction.
Yes.
And part of the reason for that is we are programmed as social creatures. We are designed as social creatures. However you want to word that, we need other people.
Sure. Yes.
And when we don't have those connections, we become depressed. And when we become depressed, we start a lot of excuse making. So one of the indicators for, when I was talking to a friend of mine who is a psychologist, one of the indicators to yourself that you are not in good mental health relates to what you just said. If you are making a lot of excuses, I can't do it, I don't know what, there's a million excuses. If you're blaming other people for the reasons why you can't take responsibility for your own health, that is an indication that you need to talk to somebody. You need to figure this out.
Yes.
Because it is not anybody. It could relate to childhood trauma. It could relate to all kinds of things. But if you literally cannot get yourself up off the couch, if you are that depressed, you need intervention. And there are counseling places you can go to. There are certainly, if you have health insurance, you actually can get that covered. But that may be the place you need to start. And if you can't start there, find a group. Yes. Find a social group. Volunteering. This is one of my favorite things that I've found out through all this research. Volunteering to help others is one of the things that brings people out of their depression. And it's a weird kind of thing because you sort of are seeing people who are worse off than you. So it's sort of, people always go, well, by comparison, I'm doing great. But that really isn't the reason. It's really because when we are helping somebody, we feel better.
Yes.
It makes us happier.
Exactly.
So if you can't start anywhere, if you can't afford things, go out and volunteer somewhere.
Exactly.
Make a connection. This is extremely important. And I also love in here that in Dr. Turner's research, Kelly Turner, that she found out that this idea of not just the increasing the positive emotions, but releasing the suppressed emotions, which is why I love your term about losing weight, the power to release weight. So if you would just speak a little bit to that, please.
In reference to releasing weight?
Yes.
Okay, well, I want to start off by saying why I use the term release weight versus weight loss. Metaphysically, the word obesity or overweight means it's a psychological wall that one actually builds physically around them to protect them from something. And that something could be a childhood trauma or even a trauma that you endured as an adult for whatever the reasons are. So psychologically, you're building this physical wall that you can physically see now, which is your body weight that shows up. And what tends to happen when we use the word weight loss, when people are losing 10, 15, 20, 30 pounds, even more, yes, you're very successful at losing the weight. But now let me ask you, if you lost your favorite pocketbook, wouldn't you go and look for it? If you lost your favorite pair of shoes, wouldn't you go to look for them? If you lost money, you lost your wallet, wouldn't you go to look for it? Well, psychologically speaking, the same thing goes with your weight. When you lose the 10, 15, 20, or 30 pounds, when you're using the term losing, you're psychologically going to look for it again because your body needs that to protect you. So it's the concept of understanding what is the weight attached to. Because when we think about the word weight, that means that it's attached to something. It's weight. It's an actual added thing. So we need to get the understanding of what is attached to. What emotion or what trauma did it get attached to that you created and you invited? And we must understand, we have to take ownership here. You invited that weight in. It didn't just show up. It didn't just from one day to the next show up. 50 pounds later did not just show up. You invited it in for a reason, to protect you from whatever it is you felt you needed protection from. So in order to actually get to that place where you can release the weight, you have to be ready and willing to address whatever the trauma and emotions are. And they very well can be connected to the childhood issues that you endured. And I'm going to take this one a little further back, a step deeper, which you may or may not agree with, but it could also be from past life experiences, something that you brought into this life to learn from and have to heal from to release the weight. So the many diet programs that are out there, the diet pills, the fat burners, whatever it may be, these programs are out there to help you lose the weight, but not help you connect to what the trauma is that weight is connecting to. And until you can actually sit, and I recommend this, that you sit with someone who can help you go into the deep wounded issues and really take you deep, because it's going to take someone to actually take you there. You can't do this on your own.
No.
And when you get to that place where you can actually sit with that person, and sometimes it's a matter of going into a deep meditation with this person so they can actually take you to that place of how old you were when this particular weight you introduced in. So, for example, you might have been 6 or 7 when you invited this weight in based on some trauma that occurred. Or you might have been 20 or 30 based on some trauma that came on. And you have to go in and address that trauma and really get to the place where you can forgive yourself and the other people involved and get to the place where you can release it. And then ask yourself, are you really ready to release it? Because you may not be ready to release that weight for whatever the reasons are. So going on all these different diet programs and fad plans that there are out there, because there's thousands of them. I every single
day.
I hear about this new plan or this new program. Oh, you need to get onto this supplement, whatever. And the reality of it all is those things are going to eventually cause health issues for you.
Right.
Because yes, you will lose the weight, but it's going to come back. I promise you. That weight's going to come back until you address what that weight is connected to. Once you address what the weight is connected to, now here, folks, listen to this. Once you address what that weight is connected to, and you are ready to do the healing work behind releasing it, and this means having to forgive yourself and forgive whomever else was attached to this situation, then the magic happens. Now you're going to begin to release the weight. Now you're going to begin to release the emotions and everything that's attached to it. And then that's where you're going to actually see yourself transform and reshape your body, because now you're actually doing the work. Now you're doing the healing to release yourself from those extra pounds or whatever it is that you brought in.
Exactly. And that's why we see so many different diet programs, because people yo-yo, because they try one thing, it doesn't work. They try another thing, it doesn't work, and they just keep trying. So of course the industry just keeps putting billions and billions of dollars out there into, millions of dollars in research to get back billions of dollars from 80%
Yes.
of the people who sign up for gyms and sign up for weight loss programs never follow through.
Exactly.
And it is because of exactly what you said.
Exactly.
And guys, you are going to have to take this responsibility yourself. Another statistic, just going to throw in while we're at this, healthcare costs are so overwhelming governments with universal health care that they will provide limited services only. No orphan disease coverage, no drugs for rare conditions, only palliative end-of-life care as opposed to expensive end-of-life care, which that's a whole other debate that at some point I will get into, but I don't know if we have time for that today. But healthcare costs are overwhelming government. Healthcare costs are rising around the world faster than income is rising. So this is in part because studies show that where free, quote unquote free, as we've discussed, no such thing, but studies show that people with free health care may not be as careful with their health. So the perception of free is the problem. And it's also what keeps us disconnected from each other as a community. So think of yourself as connected to everybody around you. You have an obligation. You are not entitled. You are not more important or better than the person next to you. And the person next to you is helping you. So if you think of the person next to you who has a job when you don't, but is helping you to get better, then maybe there's a little more consciousness about helping yourself. And the problem is that the governments of the world are not going to tell you this because there is profit to be made. When in universal health care, in what's commonly called Obamacare, all of the money that is collected goes to where? Insurance companies. It doesn't go to you, doesn't go to me, doesn't go to the patient, doesn't go to the doctor. It goes to the insurance companies. So that's where the money is being made, and anything that's going to cut into that is not going to be looked at. We are talking about curing. So let's just look at cancer for a minute, because I want you to tell that story about your sister in a second. But here's what happens with cancer. So whenever you read that statistic that the cancer cure rate is now whatever it is, whatever they claim it to be, it is very important to remember that the conventional medical community is talking about you have been cancer-free for 5 years. If you are cancer-free for 5 years, you go into the cured statistic. If you get cancer one day later, if it comes back one day after 5 years, you are still part of that statistic. So that sometimes healing is curing, and sometimes healing is helping you deal with a situation. But I loved the story about your sister in meditation. So if you could quickly.
Very quickly. My sister, and hopefully, she won't kill me for sharing on the radio. But anyway, for months at a time, she struggled with her weight. And she worked with me for a very long time in regards to changing her exercise program, her eating habits, and constantly struggling. And I had said to her, well, maybe what you need to do at this point is not so much about changing your eating habits and your exercise regimen, but maybe you really just need to sit quietly and meditate. And she just laughed at me and was like, yeah, whatever. A couple of weeks after that, she had gone to see her doctor, sat down with her doctor, and explained to her doctor that, she does an exercise program. She's been changing her eating habits. She eats, very healthy, 5-6 times a day. And her doctor looked at her and said, I'm going to write you out a prescription. And she's like, oh. Her doctor handed her a prescription, and in big, bold writing, the prescription said, meditate. And she had called me up and she said to me, I have a story to share and you're going to laugh hysterically. And when she told me, I was like, I did laugh hysterically. And I said, well, now that the doctor actually suggested that you do this, are you going to actually implement? Considering I've been suggesting you meditate for months now, but you chose not to take my advice, are you going to now take the doctor's advice? And she did. And successfully enough, she has been able to bring her weight down to where she wants it, but she's got to continue the meditation. So it's one of those things where whatever it took you to get to your weight progress, you have to continue the progress. It's not something that, especially with dieting, is not something that once you've reached your goal, that you stop doing what it is to get you to that goal. You got to maintain it. Which is why I truly believe that when you manage your weight in reference to releasing the weight and working with it in reference to tapping into what that weight is connected to, you're going to stay with a lifestyle plan. Right. And also understanding too that when we connect into what the weight is connected to and we're doing the work, we're doing the healing work to that, it's not something that you're going to lose weight overnight. Healing and letting go and releasing the weight that you've been carrying with you and that you've invited in takes time. A healing journey takes time. And It's called a journey. And it's called a journey because it's a commitment and it's a lifestyle. And it's something that you're always going to have to continue doing, is connecting on a deeper level to what is going on within you so you do not continue to re-invite the weight back in, because as we do experience traumas in our life, as adults as well, we tend to use food to make us feel good. Yeah. And we have to learn how to adapt other behaviors, other habits to make us feel good. Take a walk.
Talk to a friend.
Talk to a friend.
Get a buddy.
Meditate. Do things that's on the external without the food.
Yes, the reason doctors are recommending meditation, massage, and even acupuncture is because we now know scientifically that these things work, and they don't work for everybody. The biggest problem to me with the way conventional medicine is handled is it's, again, a one-size-fits-all system. Mm-hmm. They have protocols. If you look at indigenous healers, there's no protocol. Mm-hmm. It's individual. It's person by person. One of the things I also loved in Dr. Turner's list is deepening your spiritual connection.
Yes.
There's study after study, and I know all you atheists out there are not going to be happy about this, but there is study after study that spiritual people do seem to be happier and calmer.
Yes.
And and if you are lacking in a group to join, if you're feeling isolated, walk into any church, walk into a synagogue, walk into a mosque, walk into whatever it is that calls to you. Walk to Joanne's church, walk to our backyard. Whatever it is that take that step, because once you are connected to a community, once you are connected to a deep spiritual feeling and that idea that spirit is in you and you are connected to something greater, it becomes much easier to accept responsibility for yourself, and consequently the reciprocal responsibility to the community. It is our community that we take care of when we take care of ourselves.
Yes.
It's not just us. Not to mention that it gives us the energy to go out and take care of each other. Love thy neighbor as thyself. That's a beautiful, I think I've said before, Rabbi Hillel, that famous quote from him where he said, that's different things some people dispute this, but the way I heard it was when he was asked what's the Torah about. He said, "Love thy neighbor as thyself," and the golden rule. Do not do to another what is hateful to yourself.
Exactly.
Everything else is commentary. So that connection can make you healthier almost in an instant. And if you are really finding it difficult to find someone to connect with, that's my number one suggestion. And Dr. Turner has proven that this has worked in cancer remission.
Exactly.
So, goodness.
And I have a really fun
have 1
way.
minute.
Yeah,
Go.
I have a really fun way to connect. And that's go hug a tree. Go hug a tree.
Yes.
Go hug a tree. Connect with nature.
Yes, connect with
Connect with
nature. As a
nature.
matter of fact, we're going to have Bernadette Torres on in a couple of weeks. She's going to be speaking to exactly that thing. She's a
Yes.
master herbalist and from New Mexico. So we'll have her on. I have got to go. We're a little bit over. Joanne, I cannot thank you enough for being on. You're definitely coming
pleasure.
back, I hope, at some point. And thank you, Bobby Lacera. Thank you, everybody at Strong Island Entertainment. Check us out. Check us out at Strong Island Entertainment, Strong Island TV, and check out Joanne's Healing Within at 3 o'clock on Sundays right before me. Thank you so much, everybody. Peace, love, fun. Go have fun.
Namaste.